I never thought a simple Friday night at a friend's party would leave me feeling both unsettled and strangely vindicated, but that's exactly what happened. My name is Adrian. I'm 38, work in architectural design, and have been married to Clara for 12 years. Our life has never been perfect, but it's been stable, full of routines, shared jokes, quiet support, and occasional adventures that remind us why we chose each other. That evening, we were invited to a gathering at a mutual friend's house in West London. Clara and I arrived fashionably late, which is our little ritual, giving us a few minutes to chat privately before being thrust into the crowd. The living room was lively, warm lights reflecting off the polished hardwood floors, laughter bouncing from one end to the other. I nodded to familiar faces, exchanged quick hellos, and followed Clara toward the kitchen where she always seems to gravitate. It was there that I first noticed him, Leo, one of Clara's male friends. I had met him a few times before, polite enough, but something about him always struck me as slightly condescending, the kind of person who derives subtle satisfaction from putting others in uncomfortable positions. I brushed it off initially. After all, who enjoys tension at a social gathering? But as the night progressed, I realized he had a different agenda. Clara was speaking to a group near the counter, laughing at a story someone had told. I stood beside her, quietly sipping a glass of wine, not looking for attention or confrontation. That's when Leo approached, casually leaning against the counter, his smirk barely hiding his amusement. "Adrian," he said, tilting his head, "I have to say, it's impressive how you try so hard to keep up with Clara's energy. Must be exhausting." There was a brief pause. Laughter from the group, mild but expectant, like they were waiting to see how I would react. My chest tightened for a fraction of a second, the familiar surge of irritation that I've learned to manage over the years. But I didn't lash out or raise my voice. Instead, I allowed myself a small, deliberate smile and let him have his moment before calmly responding. "I wouldn't call it exhausting," I said evenly, locking eyes with him. "I'd call it inspiring. Keeps me motivated." The room fell into a brief, stunned silence. Clara turned to look at me, eyebrows raised, a mixture of surprise and admiration flashing across her face. Leo, on the other hand, seemed momentarily disarmed. He opened his mouth, probably to deliver another jab, but I maintained my composure, my tone unshakable, the kind of tone that communicates both confidence and quiet authority. "You know," I continued, still calm, mocking someone rarely says more about them than it does about you. I could see the effect immediately. Leo's smirk faltered, the subtle arrogance replaced by a flicker of self-consciousness. He stepped back slightly, adjusting his posture, as if reconsidering the approach he had thought would easily unsettle me. The laughter around us had shifted, the energy in the room subtly realigned in my favor. People looked at me differently now, some with a quiet respect, others with curiosity, sensing that this wasn't a man easily shaken or dismissed. Clara's hand found mine, giving it a quick, almost imperceptible squeeze. Her eyes met mine, wide, as if to silently say, "I can't believe how calmly you handled that." I smiled at her, a mixture of relief and pride swelling in my chest. Not because I wanted to impress her, but because I had maintained my integrity without stooping to aggression or drama. After that, the rest of the evening passed smoothly. I noticed Leo avoided me for the remainder of the night, lingering at the other end of the room or engaging with guests he thought would support his ego. And yet, I didn't gloat, didn't draw attention to my small victory. It wasn't about winning, it was about setting boundaries without losing my composure. That, I knew, spoke louder than any sarcastic remark or pointed comeback ever could. Later, on the drive home, Clara spoke up, her voice soft but filled with a mixture of admiration and surprise. "I didn't think you'd handle him like that," she said. "You didn't yell, you didn't make a scene, and yet, he couldn't even look at you the same way afterward." I chuckled quietly. "Sometimes, the quiet ones are the ones people underestimate the most," I replied. "It's about knowing my worth and making sure my presence is respected, no matter who's trying to undermine it." Clara remained silent for a moment, then reached over and rested her head briefly on my shoulder. I felt a sense of calm satisfaction settle over me. Not the satisfaction of ego, but the subtle, profound reassurance that I had acted in a way that aligned with who I am. A man who protects his dignity, respects his relationships, and quietly asserts himself when necessary.